Ever get that feeling like you're speaking fluent tech and everyone around you is stuck with dial-up?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Right. We've all been there that moment. You're wrestling with some gadget or software and you just know there's a better way. But what if, instead of being the one frustrated, you are the one who helps others decode the digital world?
Now that'd be something.
Exactly. That's where ICT trainers come in. And you guessed it, today's deep dive is all about what it takes to be one, thanks to the mountain of info you sent over.
Awesome. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it. So much of the material you gave me pointed to RoleCatcher.com as the place to go. Career guides, interview tips, they seem to have it all. But first, before we even get there, for those of us who aren't fluent in career speak, what exactly is an ICT trainer?
Okay, so in the simplest terms, an ICT trainer is someone who helps people really get technology and use it well. They're kind of like tech translators, making sure everyone's speaking the same language.
So it's about more than knowing how to use the latest smartphone.
Way more. It's about breaking down complex stuff in a way that clicks for anyone, no matter their tech skills.
I can see how that'd be so valuable, especially now, when tech's changing faster than ever. And RoleCatcher really breaks down what these trainers do, and honestly, the list is pretty diverse.
Oh, for sure. It's not a one-size-fits-all role.
RoleCatcher mentioned things like analyzing training needs, which sounds pretty strategic, not just about knowing the tech. What's that all about?
That's a really important part. It's like before you even teach anything, you need to figure out who you're teaching, what they need to know, and the best way to teach them. That's the needs analysis.
So it's about tailoring the training to the specific people and their jobs.
Exactly. That's what makes training actually effective.
So you need those analytical skills and the teaching skills,
Mhm.
which RoleCatcher also highlights.
Absolutely. You've got to be able to explain things clearly, break down complex topics, and adjust your approach on the fly depending on who you're working with.
It's that ability to connect with people, meet them where they're at. And there was something else RoleCatcher emphasized. Critical thinking. Why is that so important for an ICT trainer?
Oh, that's huge. Think about it. Technology can be unpredictable, right? Things go wrong, software changes, you get thrown a curveball. An ICT trainer needs to think on their feet, troubleshoot problems, find solutions. They're kind of like tech detectives in a way.
A tech detective. I love that. Speaking of problem solving, RoleCatcher gave this really interesting example. Imagine you're a brand new ICT trainer right out of the gate. Your company decides to do a major software update, and you're tasked with basically getting everyone up to speed.
Oh, wow. Yeah, talk about trial by fire.
Right. Suddenly, those critical thinking skills are front and center.
Absolutely. You'd need to figure out what's changed, how it impacts people's work, and then how to present all that in a way that actually makes sense. It's a lot.
Okay, so we've established it's this cool blend of technical chops and teaching skills. But where does all this training magic actually happen? Is it all stuffy classrooms and computer labs, or what?
Not at all. One of the best things about ICT training is the flexibility. You could be in a traditional classroom one day, leading a webinar from your couch the next.
Okay, that's a definite perk. But what about the career itself? Let's talk about the nitty-gritty. What's the earning potential like? What did RoleCatcher say about the pros and, let's be real, the downsides of this kind of work?
So the good news is ICT trainers are generally well paid, and the demand is only going up, which is always a good sign. Plus, you're always on the cutting edge of the tech world, constantly learning and growing. The flip side is that constant learning can also be a challenge. Tech changes so fast, you got to be comfortable with always being a student.
Right, so that software you just mastered might be outdated next year.
Exactly.
And speaking of things changing quickly, RoleCatcher talks about how online learning is really changing the game. What's your take on how that's impacting ICT training specifically?
It's huge. I mean, think about it. Virtual classrooms, webinars, interactive tutorials, the whole 9 yards. An ICT trainer needs to be comfortable in that online world just as much as they are in person.
So you're not just a trainer, you're kind of like a digital content creator too. You
Yeah.
need those tech skills to make the online stuff engaging.
Exactly. And that ability to adapt in-person, online, different learning styles, tech issues popping up, that's gold. If you're someone who likes variety and a bit of a challenge, this could be a great fit.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal here. Let's say someone is listening, they're like, all right, this does sound up my alley, but where do I even begin? What does RoleCatcher say about getting started? Do you need to be like a coding whiz straight out of the gate?
It definitely helps to have a solid technical foundation, but here's a surprise. You don't necessarily need a computer science degree to get started.
Wait, really? That's interesting. I just kind of assumed it was all algorithms and coding from day one.
While a tech-heavy degree can give you a head start, RoleCatcher actually listed degrees like business administration, communications, even education as relevant. That goes back to those people skills we were talking about.
So you're saying my deep and abiding love for ancient history won't hold me back?
Maybe not directly relevant to configuring servers, but the point is, your existing skills and passions can be strengths in this field. Now, if you don't have a tech background, you might want to beef up those skills. That's where certifications come in, and RoleCatcher lists a bunch of things, like the Certified Technical Trainer, CTT+, Microsoft Certified Trainer, MCT, Cisco Certified Academy Instructor, CCAI.
They sound almost like digital badges of honor, but it's not a one-and-done kind of deal, right? You get your certification and then just coast.
Oh, definitely not. Technology moves so fast, continuous learning is absolutely essential. Think about it. What you learned in a degree 5 years ago might already be outdated.
Ouch. All right, so how do you keep up in a field where the goalposts are always moving? That sounds like a recipe for burnout.
It's all about building good habits and finding resources you trust. RoleCatcher really stresses the importance of staying current workshops, online courses, industry blogs, even just geeking out in forums with other professionals. Be curious, be proactive, and you'll be fine.
So it's about weaving that learning into your everyday routine.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've established that continuous learning is key. But how does that actually play out in a typical ICT trainer's career path? RoleCatcher breaks it down into stages: junior, intermediate, senior. For someone just starting out, what does that entry-level junior experience actually look like? It's good to know there's some kind of roadmap, especially when you're first starting out. What does RoleCatcher say about that junior level experience?
Well, at the junior level, it's really all about getting your hands dirty, learning by doing. Think of it like an apprenticeship. You're there to soak everything up.
So you're probably not designing a whole training program from scratch right away.
Probably not right away. According to RoleCatcher, a lot of junior trainers start by assisting with those needs analyses we were talking about. Or maybe they're helping to update existing materials, shadowing more experienced trainers. It's all about observation, getting comfortable with the technology.
Soaking it all up like a sponge. And then you move up to that intermediate level. What changes then? What are you doing differently?
That's when you start taking on more responsibility, really owning your role. Instead of just assisting with those needs analyses, you might be running the show. You'll probably be designing your own materials, even leading some of the training sessions yourself.
Okay, so you've learned the ropes, now you're steering the ship. What about that senior ICT trainer level? That sounds pretty top tier.
It is. That's when you become the strategic leader. RoleCatcher describes senior trainers as the ones who can analyze an organization's needs on a big picture level and design the whole training program around that.
So it's like you're not just teaching the tech anymore, you're shaping how the whole company learns it.
Exactly. You might be mentoring those junior trainers, creating training strategies for the whole organization, maybe even consulting with different departments on how they can use technology better.
Wow, that's quite the career trajectory. But of course, before you can even get to the junior level, you've got to nail that interview.
Right.
And thankfully, RoleCatcher has a whole treasure trove of potential interview questions.
They really do. And they're not just generic questions either. They break them down by experience level, specific areas of ICT. It's pretty
Wow.
impressive, honestly.
Like they've got a direct line to hiring managers' brains or something. Okay, so they've got the usual, tell me about your experience type questions, but what about the curveballs? The ones that really make you think on your feet? RoleCatcher had a few that stopped me in my tracks. Like, how do you adapt your training for people with different learning needs? Or how would you handle a disruptive participant?
Those are great questions and tough to answer. That's the point, isn't it? They want to see how you think under pressure, how you approach challenging situations.
So how do you prepare for that when there's not really a right or wrong answer?
Tell a story. Think about your experiences. Have you ever had to explain something technical to, like, a friend who's not techie at all? Or maybe you fixed a tech issue when the pressure was on? Even if it's not directly about ICT, those real-life examples show how you problem solve.
It's like that saying, tell me and I forget, show me and I remember, involve me and I learn. Those stories make it real.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to get creative. RoleCatcher mentions using your portfolio, showing off things like training materials you've made, testimonials. It's all about showcasing your passion, going the extra mile.
So it's not just what you know, it's how you show it.
100%. Enthusiasm is contagious, right? If you're genuinely excited about tech and helping others, that'll shine through in an interview.
Okay, let's fast forward a bit. You've aced the interview, landed the job, you're officially an ICT trainer. Congratulations. Now what? What does the future look like for someone in this field? What are the possibilities?
The possibilities are pretty much endless. As you gain experience, maybe you find a niche area that you're really passionate about. You become the go-to person for cybersecurity, cloud computing, or whatever gets you excited.
Those are some hot topics right now.
They are. Or maybe you find that you love the strategy side of things and you move into a management role.
Mm.
You could be leading a team of trainers, developing programs for the whole organization. Some people even start their own training companies.
There's that entrepreneurial spirit. So from trainer to manager to CEO, there's definitely room to grow.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And you know what RoleCatcher really emphasized? It's not just about climbing the ladder. It's about finding what you love, what you're good at, and continuously learning and growing within that.
That's really refreshing to hear. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of career. There's flexibility to make it your own. What about for folks who might not love that traditional classroom setting? Does RoleCatcher talk about that at all?
Absolutely. Remember how we were talking about online learning? For someone who really thrives in the digital world, that's where you can shine.
You become the master of the virtual classroom, the online engagement guru.
Exactly. And with so many companies embracing remote work these days, the demand for people who can design and lead engaging online training is huge. So even if you don't see yourself standing in front of a physical classroom, there are tons of ways to use these skills.
That's really good to know. Okay, so let's say someone's listening to this and they're thinking, this sounds amazing, but am I cut out for this? What are some of those key personality traits that scream ICT trainer?
Well, I think first and foremost, you've got to genuinely enjoy teaching. There's something really special about helping someone understand something new, seeing that aha moment click for them. If that gets you fired up, you're on the right track.
It's a special kind of reward for sure.
It really is. Patience is another big one. Not everyone learns at the same pace, so you might have to explain things in a few different ways before it clicks.
Hmm.
Being able to stay patient and positive through that process is key.
Now tell me about it. All those tech support calls to family members have taught me the meaning of patience.
We've all been there. And of course, those strong communication skills are essential. You need to be able to take complex ideas and make them clear and easy to understand, no matter who you're talking to.
So no tech jargon allowed.
Exactly.
This has been so insightful. RoleCatcher has given us so much to think about. But from your perspective, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about ICT training?
One of the biggest ones is that it's all about the technical stuff, the hard skills, as they say. And while those are obviously important, those soft skills, communication, empathy, being able to connect with different types of learners, those are just as crucial. Honestly, maybe even more so.
It's that human element, that
Um,
ability to build rapport.
Exactly. Another misconception is that it's a solitary profession. And while there will be times when you're working independently, a lot of ICT training, especially in a corporate setting, involves collaboration. You're working with other trainers, subject matter experts, even stakeholders within the company.
So it's not just you alone in a room full of computers all day.
Not at all. In fact, a lot of ICT trainers really enjoy that collaborative aspect. It keeps things interesting, you're constantly learning from each other, and it helps you stay connected to the bigger picture.
Speaking of the bigger picture, let's
Sure.
talk about the elephant in the room. Artificial intelligence. AI is changing everything, and education and training are no exception.
Absolutely. It's already happening. We're seeing AI being used to personalize learning, track progress, even give feedback. And I think it's natural for people to worry, is AI going to replace me? Is my job safe?
Especially after we've been talking about how important those human elements are in this role.
Exactly. But I think, and RoleCatcher seems to agree, AI is more likely to enhance the role of the ICT trainer, not replace it entirely.
So instead of fearing AI, it's more about learning to work with it.
Exactly. Think of it this way. AI can take over some of the more tedious, repetitive tasks, like grading quizzes, maybe providing basic tech support, which then frees up human trainers to focus on what we're really good at. Those things AI can't replicate, at least not yet. Things like building relationships, giving personalized guidance, dealing with those curveball situations that come up all the time.
So in a way, AI could make the ICT trainer's job even more human-centric.
Exactly. And it really underscores the importance of those soft skills we keep coming back to. As AI takes on more of those technical tasks, it's the human skills, empathy, creativity, the ability to connect on a deeper level. Those are the things that become truly invaluable.
It's interesting how the more technology advances, the more we seem to crave that human element, that guidance to make sense of it all.
It's true. Technology is a tool, and like any tool, it needs a skilled hand to wield it effectively. And that's where ICT trainers come in.
It really drives home the point that technology, at its core, is a tool for human connection and progress.
Couldn't agree more. It's all about using these tools to make life better, to learn and grow. And that's what's so exciting about ICT training. It's at the heart of all that.
Okay, before we wrap things up, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier, that constant need to stay updated in the tech world. It can feel pretty overwhelming, especially when you're just starting out. Any advice for our listeners who might be feeling a little intimidated by that?
It's definitely a valid concern. My advice would be don't try to learn everything at once. That's a recipe for burnout for sure.
Yeah.
Focus on building a strong foundation and the core concepts of ICT. Then find a niche that really excites you and dive deep.
So it's about finding your passion within the tech world.
Absolutely. What really gets you fired up is it cybersecurity, cloud computing, data analytics. Once you've found that thing, set aside some dedicated time each week, even just 30 minutes, to read industry blogs, listen to podcasts, take online courses. Make it a habit to stay curious and keep learning.
It's like going to the gym for your brain. You got to keep those synapses firing.
Exactly. And just like at the gym, it's always more fun to have a workout buddy. Connect with other ICT trainers, online or in person. Share resources, swap stories, learn from each other's experiences.
It's true. Networking isn't just for salespeople.
Not at all. The ICT training community is full of passionate, helpful people. Find those mentors, join those online forums, go to conferences. You'll be amazed at how much you can learn from others on the same journey.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive. We've talked about the skills you need, the different career paths, the challenges and rewards of being an ICT trainer. We've talked about the importance of adaptability, the power of human connection in this tech-driven world. We even touched on AI. What a journey.
It really has been. And you know what stands out to me most? It's the power of that human connection, that aha moment you see in someone's eyes when they finally grasp a concept they've been struggling with. That's the real magic of ICT training. It's about empowering people, helping them unlock their potential.
Absolutely. So, to our listeners, if any of this has resonated with you, if you're even the tiniest bit curious about the world of ICT training, go explore. Do your research, reach out to people in the field, check out some online resources. You never know, you might just discover your next dream career.
And who knows, maybe someday you'll be the expert inspiring us with your story.
Now, wouldn't that be something? This has been The Deep Dive, signing off for today. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a topic that's shaping our world. Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep those aha moments coming.